Okay, hello, welcome to this video. I actually found this very interesting tool from Family Watch, which I'm going to share with you. And this is a map of sex offenders. And it confirms almost everything we know about the middle of the island being... Why is this not zooming out? This should zoom out, but it doesn't want to zoom out. I know I had it zoom out before, but now it doesn't want to zoom out. Okay, well, whatever. This is a look at sex offenders. And you'll notice that the middle of the island towns have clusters of sex offenders, including Mineola. Westbury has way more of them. Each dot represents a sex offender, all right? And it just give their name here, all right? So each dot represents a sex offender here. And let's see if I can get this to... I wish this... All right, it seems like it's zoomed out a little more now. So you can see all the middle of the island towns pretty much have a lot of sex offenders. Hicksville. When we go north, it gets less, so there's a lot less on the North Shore. So you'll see a little few around Glen Cove, but not much, not as many on the North Shore. But the middle of the island seems to have a lot, including East Meadow, Farmingdale, Hempstead. You see a lot there, not surprisingly. But then look what happens when you go to the South Shore. You'll notice a lot less of them. You'll see some clusters around Roosevelt and Freeport, not surprisingly, and a few around Baldwin. But Rockville Center, look at that. Hardly any in Rockville Center and Lynbrook. So this confirms everything we know. And Valley Stream also. People are like, oh, Valley Streams. You notice that part of Valley Stream, especially by the mall, has a lot. There's certain areas that are just being dumping grounds for sex offenders. There's a few in Long Beach, but not too many. But you see that certain areas have just unfairly become dumping grounds for sex offenders. Look at that. Hardly any in Wantagh or Belmore or, you know what I mean? Like I said, they just steer them into areas, mainly in the middle of the island. And, you know, as we work our way east here, you will see the same thing. Wyandanch, Deer Park, but look, when you look at Babylon, I can't really show you Babylon in the same frame, but you can see there's less in Babylon compared to Deer Park, where there's a lot around Deer Park and Wyandanch. And look at Brentwood too, lit up like a Christmas tree. All right. Meanwhile, look at that. Look at Islip. Look at how few there are in Islip compared to Brentwood and Central Islip. And we see this trend continue as we go into Suffolk County, too. Again, the middle of the island. Look at all the ones in Hot Park, which is kind of a surprise to me. So they're dumping them in Hot Park, too. Not too many in Smithtown. But you'll notice they're dumping a lot in Selden, Coram, Middle Island. You're dumping a lot there. Port Jefferson Station. Even on the North Shore, a lot more dots than I would expect around Miller Place, Sound Beach, and Rocky Point. And then, again, you see the same thing here. Now, there is a little of a cluster in Patchogue, but Patchogue, like I said, is gentrifying. They're going to eventually get priced out. All right, Bellport, North Bellport, not a surprise. A few in Sayville, but generally the South Shore doesn't have it as bad as the middle. And this clearly just shows what I've been trying to say all along. This is where they're dumping all the problems. Now, there's an exception. Mastic and Shirley are a major dumping ground for sex offenders and have been for many years. All right? But you generally get the idea of what's happening here. Look at Coram. I mean, they're really dumping them there. Let's look at Riverhead. Riverhead is also an area they've been dumping, but it's gotten better in recent years over there. You can go way out east where you're hardly going to see any. Like on the North Fork, you're going to hardly see any out here. I shouldn't even show this. There's nothing here. I mean, like I said, this is all very, free of them. So people don't want to live in neighborhoods with sex offenders. Who can blame them? All right. But it's not fair that they're being dumped into certain neighborhoods on Long Island that are being targeted. And it's mainly the middle of the island towns that are being targeted with this. You can see, look at that. Look at Brentwood. You look at Wyandanch. Look at Hicksville. Look at Hicksville. And Westbury lit up like a Christmas tree. This is what I mean. This is what you have here. Click on a red dot and you'll see there's another one there. These are all sex offenders. They give the at 80 North Broadway. They put them in a lot of these office buildings. They converted them to apartments. They're putting them in there. Some of these people these are sex offenders, but they could also be involved in other crimes as well, and they're just dumped in the middle of the island. The North Shore, not so much, but the middle just gets the worst of it, just because it's all part of the plan. And look at Queens. Look at the city. So the city is a major dumping ground. Look at this. Oh my God. Parts of Brooklyn are. Like I said, East New York. These areas, East New York, Brownsville, a lot over there. It's a really bad section of Brooklyn. Jamaica, not a surprise. Fortunately, there don't seem to be too many in Fresh Meadows, but you can see where they're being dumped. You could see where they're being dumped. You could just see where they're being dumped. These guys, are, and you can see all along Hempstead Turnpike, Franklin Square, Hempstead. So this is all more proof of the plan right here. So go ahead, check this site out. You'll see what I mean. That certain communities certainly are getting a lot of sex offenders being put in their communities, while other communities, particularly on the South Shore, again, look at Mineola. We have we don't have it as bad as Westbury, but still, it's a lot. All right. But then you go and you look at Lynbrook, and there's none. Lynbrook has none. There's none. Look at that. Nice and safe for the snobs. They don't have to have sex offenders in their communities. But it's okay for us. Look at the enclaves again. Merrick, Belmore, hardly any. Wantagh, Seaford, hardly any. They are enclaves. But unfortunately, people with mental disabilities are grouped in with sex offenders, and we're not allowed to live in those towns, which is not fair. But this is what I mean. This is more proof of the plan right here. You see it right here. So go ahead, check this site out, and you'll see what I mean. You'll see just more proof of what's going on. And there's another site that I'm going to be going over in the next week that will also illustrate the plan in action. So that's going to wrap up this video. Take care. Thanks for watching, and be safe.